We are located at the Grand Army of the Republic Monument in downtown Washington, D.C. at 7th and Pennsylvania Avenue. This is the scene of the very first act of Union veteranhood, the Grand Review. On May the 23rd and 24th, 1865, more than 100,000 Union veterans from the Eastern and Western armies paraded down this street, beyond sidewalks choked with civilians, ready to celebrate the end of the war, ready to celebrate Union victory. The men in the marching ranks, however, they weren't so sure. The road ahead was uncertain. Americans, of course, were as unprepared for the peace as they had been for the war itself. There was no Veterans Administration. There was only a nascent pension bureau. Not until 1890 would we have a Dependent and Disability Pension Act that would establish an old age pension for all disabled Union veterans. Union veterans, they came back to a society that was ready to move quickly beyond the painful issues of the war. While some were able to adjust into civilian society with ease, others were not. Divorce rates spiked, unemployment rates soared, suicides became not uncommon. Many veterans moved out to isolated veteran colonies in the West, places like Gibbon, Nebraska, and Gettysburg, South Dakota. Billy Yank might have won the war, but he couldn't bear the peace that followed. His old adversary, Johnny Reb, he returned home, as the historian Jim Martin has pointed out, to Southern communities that keenly understood the war and its costs, all of his sacrifices. Southern states and localities provided pensions and soldiers' homes, prosthetic appliances. Johnny Reb's greatest struggle was not civilian reception after the war, but rather adjusting to a post-emancipation society. In some cases, he joined up with the ranks of white supremacist terrorist organizations like the Ku Klux Klan. Others fled south to Mexico or Brazil. But many others remained at home to get to the work of physical reconstruction. They turned the heaps of rubble produced by the war into the cities of the New South. All of that onerous work may explain why it took so long for Confederates to establish fraternal organizations. Not until 1889 would the United Confederate Veterans be founded in New Orleans, Louisiana. Not until 1893 would they publish a periodical, The Confederate Veteran, from Nashville, Tennessee. On the federal side, fraternal organizations got to work almost immediately after the war. On the 4th anniversary of the first day at Shiloh, Dr. Benjamin Franklin Stevenson, a regimental surgeon from the 14th Illinois Volunteers, founded the GAR on the principles of fraternity, charity, and loyalty. The GAR was the only integrated fraternal society in late 19th century America. While there were segregated posts, there were many more integrated posts, and national membership in the organization was colorblind. The GAR would do important work, charitable work, in providing money for needy and in some cases homeless veterans, their widows, and their orphans. And together, collectively, they would help to remind the nation what exactly had been at stake in this war. In the years and decades that went on, Union and Confederate veterans would meet up in battlefield reunions. The two most important blue-gray reunions were held on the Gettysburg battlefield, one in 1913, the other in 1938. These reunions produced memorable images of wrinkled old soldiers clasping hands across the stone wall at Cemetery Ridge. Those images noiselessly effaced the enduring sectional bitterness and lingering animosities produced by this war. Indeed, bitterness and animosities that would long outlive the last veterans. The last confirmed Confederate veteran, an Alabamian who fought at Hatcher's Run, would die in 1951. The last Union veteran, named Albert Wilson, was a drummer boy in a Minnesota heavy artillery regiment, died in August of 1956 at the age of 109. After he was buried in Park Hill Cemetery in Duluth, Bruce Catton, the great Civil War writer, remarked that a window into the Civil War past had closed forever. Indeed, the ordeal of the Civil War veteran was over at last.